The first S in the 5S framework for success is to simplify. Most people overlook this step because they don't think that they actually can simplify or reduce their workload anywhere, and so therefore they just skip it. The problem is that they're trying to add more work onto already maxed out, overwhelmed schedules, and there is just no more bandwidth, either mental or physical bandwidth, to actually systemize your business so it can make you money and you can grow and scale your construction business. So during this module, we're going to focus on auditing 5 areas. Steve Jobs says that it's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important. Anytime you have a new priority, you have to allocate new resources to that priority. So when there's a shift in priorities, there needs to be a shift in resources. This is going to help you free up the resources in order to take the next steps. I actually have a graph down here. And this is where we end up being completely overwhelmed and we're maxed out on work and our to-do list is a mile long and we just don't know what to even do or think or however we're going to do this. And so we just put it off and put it off. And really, you're missing out on so much freedom on the other side of this module. So this is a graph that I made to really help us understand what goes on when we are overwhelmed. So if you see right here, this big bar where the intention and expectation are, this is where we want to do, we should do, we think we need to do, all of these things that most of them we probably should say no to, like Steve Jobs mentioned. But we end up saying yes to all these things. And so our to-do list is a mile long, our schedules are maxed out, and we don't actually have the time for the things that we want to do. Then we start a program like this and we just add it on top of this until we now are completely overwhelmed and our life is just filled with shoulds instead of being very intentional. And honestly, unless you're Superman or something, you're not going to be able to get everything that you intend to do done. And so your behavior or what reality is really just about 20% of what you want to do or what your intention is or what you expect you should do. So when there's this unalignment here between this way up here and this way down here, you now create overwhelm. Now, what most people try to do when they realize that this is where they are is they try to work harder and be more efficient and try to, tighten up their schedule a little bit more and fill every moment and every gap and every 5 minutes. And so they end up just working harder to actually move this bar up. And the trick is to not work harder and move this bar up. The trick is to actually reduce everything that you are doing down to the bare minimum so that way these two align. Once these are aligned and they can lock in alignment together, they actually have the ability to expand and get more done. But when there is a disconnect between the two, you just get overwhelm. So I want you to understand that when you go through this module, it's not so that you can just say no to all these things and have a horrible, boring life. It's so you actually can have freedom on the other side of this because your intention and your expectation are locking arms with your behavior or reality, and you can now accomplish way more in this state than you would if you just added more things to already a busy, crazy to-do list. Because here's the thing, when your behavior and reality, like what you actually do on a regular basis, your actions don't align with this, what you end up doing is you just cherry pick the things that you want to do versus forcing yourself to do the things that you really need to do. So for instance, if you need to start tracking your finances and you're not looking at your numbers, because there's a disconnect here, you're not going to ever look at your numbers. You're going to find other things to busy yourself with versus looking at your numbers. But if everything on your to-do list was just to look at your numbers and that was it, there was nothing else on your to-do list, then you would look at your numbers. And so we're going to work through this through the other modules. I don't want to overwhelm you right now, but just know that this module is to free you up so you can actually grow your business without it taking all your time. So we are going to do that by going through your time and really understanding where are you spending your time. We're going to go through your energy. what is giving you energy that you're doing on a regular basis and what is not giving you energy. Some guys that I work with, they love meeting with the clients. They love hanging out with the clients. They love building that relationship, but there's a lot of things in their business that they don't want to do. Other guys I know are awesome at the estimating. They love looking at the numbers and how the design is and what materials they need, but they don't want to be the face of the company. And so you need to actually sit here and design the business the way you want the business to run. And there's no wrong way or right way for your business to run. There's strategy within those frameworks, but you need to decide what is actually draining you of your energy and what's going to give you energy. Not all 24 hours are created equal, although everyone has 24 hours. The next thing is tolerations. And I learned this, oh gosh, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And this is the idea that there's things in our environment that we're tolerating. And when we are tolerating this, even if it's on a subconscious level, we actually get our energy taken away from us. So let's say that you get up in the morning and the door squeaks for the bathroom. And every morning you're like, oh, the door squeaks. I need to go put WD-40 on it. And you go to the bathroom. That is stealing some of your energy throughout the day. And so one of the exercises that we're going to do is going through and removing all the tolerations. So that way you actually have the energy to focus on your business. We can also talk a little bit about health here because health is really important. Drinking enough water, taking a walk, exercising a little bit. There's little things that you can do, but if we add all of that to this list, we will never do it. So we are going to strategically get this list way down here to the 20%. So that way we can match our behavior and reality. And we actually trick our brains to, when we say that we're going to do something, our brain goes, well, you've always done what you said you're going to do. So therefore we're going to figure out a way to do this. And so these are some kind of psychological tips to get your business to scale, but there's also tactical things here as well. Now, your offerings. This is another very important audit. This is one of the audits that makes my contractors the most amount of money. And here's the thing. There are projects that you do that make you lose money because you didn't estimate them right, because there's issues, because you don't have good subs maybe for them. There's something that you offer that's not making you money. And there's something that you offer that is making you money. And it's not a 50-50 split. When you go through and go, okay, what are we offering? What types of work that we do? I get on the phone calls with some people and they're like, oh, I do a little bit of everything. I'm like, okay, we're going to narrow that down. That's not going to be the first words out of your mouth. You want to specialize in something. So we're going to hone in and see what you need to specialize in. It's not that you're not going to do those other things, but we're just going to allocate a little bit more energy and resources to the things that are going to make us more money. One of my guys who does kitchen and bath remodels figured out that on the kitchen remodels, they always were delayed. They always took longer than they wanted to. They always ran into design projects and sourcing or design issues and sourcing issues. And he ended up at the end of the job always just breaking even. But his bathroom remodels, he always made a killing at. And so he actually made the decision through me coaching him to not focus on bathrooms anymore. Not focus on kitchens anymore, and only focus on bathrooms. And he went from 23% gross profit margins on average gross profit margins on his projects to over 40% overnight because he just was able to reallocate the resources instead of just any time of kitchen and bath remodels. He was now going only to baths and he was making extra money. You would not have the problems in your business if you just made more money on each project. And this is how you do it. The next thing we're also going to look at is your team. Your team may have gotten you to where you are now, but they may not be the team that you need moving forward. Your C players may be pulling down your A players, and you may need to do an audit and get rid of some of the people that are not going to help you get to this next level. This could also be hiring more than you thought you needed. And so now your overhead is way too high for where you are currently in your business. And so there needs to be some cutting, some trimming of the fat in this section. And last but not least, and this is where my contractors make at least 30, and some of them have made over 100 grand using this training video, but they have taken their resources, understood where their money was going, and recaptured those resources from going down the drain. When you have a bucket and there's holes in the bucket, it doesn't matter how much you turn on that hose. If the holes in your bucket are making you leak your profits, you are going to spend way too much time, energy, and team members overhead, and maybe even working on the wrong things that you'll never end up filling up your bucket. So go through all these 5 trainings so that way you can simplify what's going on in your life and what's going on in your business so you can take that next step and move on to our strategy. So go through all those videos and I'll see you in the next one.